Hello everyone. This is lesson 14 about Abraham's covenant. We finished the Garden of Eden allegory. We know that that allegory was important to people throughout the world because we find the tree of life carved on stone, on wood, throughout the world. That means that Eve composed it probably 3,000 to 5,000 years ago. People saw in that allegory the secret of living a fulfilled life. That meant that they sat around the fire at night. They'd all memorized it, and they discussed it. Wise people help people understand it and apply it to their own life. After that story was composed, every wise person that were in a community where the allegory was known found it his duty to figure out how people got back into the Garden of Eden. Jesus expressed it in this poem. Jesus said, "Those blessed ones, they are the single ones, for you will discover the kingdom. For you are out of it, and again you will be going there." The word kingdom for him meant the soul experience, which is the Garden of Eden experience, is what Buddha calls nirvana. Those little ones, he says, those blessed ones, they are the single ones. They are the ones who are single with themselves. They're not divided between their false self and their true self. They're not divided between themselves and other people. They have unconditional love for everyone. They see the soul, everyone is a unique soul, a divine soul. They see that other people are unique versions of the same soul life that they have. And consequently, there's a oneness between people who are single. Those blessed ones, they are the single ones. For you will discover the kingdom. Why? Because you're on the way of the soul. For you are out of it. In other words, we were born in paradise. We are born in the garden. We are born in the kingdom. And again, you will be going there. You'll be going there as long as you do the work to get there. Now remember, the work we must do is to use our angel, the cherubim, to get by the flaming sword to get into the Garden of Eden. Now Abraham lived long after the Garden of Eden allegory was composed. We're not sure exactly when Abraham lived, but people think that it was about 1800 BCE. He lived in South Iraq and traveled to northern Iraq, and then people think up into Turkey. At a certain point, he was listening to Spirit. And Spirit told him what has become known as the covenant. And let me read it to you. Being said to Abraham, in other words, Abraham heard within himself, "Go from the land of your tribe and your father's house." That was a command. Go from the land of your tribe and your father's house, and go to the earth that I will show you. Now I'm going to stop right there. Our modern translations say, "Go from the land of your tribe and go to the land that I will show you." That doesn't make sense. In my book, and I'll explain why. The word land, metaphorically, as I explained previously in a previous lesson, means unreceptive, unreflective consciousness. So to go from the land of your tribe means to go from your unconscious conformity to the values and dogma of your community. Go from the land of your father's house means leave the values and dogmas of your family. You leave them by making them second to listening to Spirit. So you become a nonconformist. And go to the land that I will show you makes no sense. Go to the unconsciousness that I will show you. It doesn't make any sense. I show in my book, as you see it here, The Semitic Secret. I analyze this passage structurally. The word that is appropriate here, and it was changed in the Hebrew text, is earth. Earth is receptive, reflective consciousness. And consequently, it should be reading, being said to Abraham, go from the land of your tribe and your father's house and go to the earth, which is the earth then is the Garden of Eden, or the kingdom, or nirvana, the soul experience. Go to the soul experience that I will show you. Then the covenant reads, and I will make you into a great people, and I will bless you, and I will magnify your name greatly, and you will be a blessing. And I'll make you, on the way of the soul, into a great people, not you on the way of the mind. And I will bless you, and I will magnify your name greatly. By magnifying your name means I will magnify your presence in the world. And you will be a blessing to the world. So those who are like Joan of Arc, who are wise lovers, are a blessing to the world. And I will bless those, the ones who bless you. And I will curse those, the ones who curse you. I will bless those who recognize in you divine life, the way of the soul. And I will curse those who do not see you and who remain in darkness. In other words, automatically, when we recognize the beauty of another person who is a Joan of Arc, who is one with themselves, that's in a baby, that's in little children, it's in adults who have given up being false selves, we are automatically blessed by them, and we feel blessed ourselves. So when we see someone who is single on the way of the soul, like Joan of Arc or like a baby, we feel blessed. Those who cannot see that, and when we do not see that, we live in darkness. We are so one with our false selves that we cannot see people who are real, and we do not appreciate them. Now, the only way we can really see others is to be on the way of the soul and to be single ourselves. Now let's emphasize, let's look at what I consider the most important part of the covenant command. Being said to Abraham, go from the land of your tribe and your father's house and go to the earth that I will show you. The key is that I will show you. In other words, there is no one else who can show us how to get into the garden, into the kingdom, into the promised earth. Because we are unique individuals, we have unique histories, we have unique problems, and we need to be shown by infinite intelligence, the Spirit, how to take the next perfect step in our life. Remember in the Garden of Eden allegory, we read, God placed at the east of the Garden of Eden a cherubim and a flaming sword. Within us is an angel, a cherubim. That's our intuition, our soul ability to listen to Spirit. On the right, we read a poem by Jesus that is repeated in the New Testament and in the Gospel of Thomas 19 times, more than 4 times more than any other of his sayings. He who has an ear to listen, let him listen. Jesus is teaching the covenant. The covenant, core of the covenant is that I will show you. How do we know what we're being shown? By listening. By third eye and third ear, or by third ear listening and by third eye seeing. So that's why the core of Jesus' message is, he who has his ear to listen, let him listen. How to listen and what to listen for is important. What I've discovered is that there are core realizations that are necessary for finding any solution and getting into the promised earth. Let me read those to you. Number one, nothing is happening by chance. Buddha, Jesus, Eve, and Abraham never used the word coincidence, never used the word luck. They see everything as coordinated and everything is ordered. Mystics say the same thing. In order to understand that, one must use his third eye and third ear to look at reality. With 2 eyes and 2 ears, everything seems to be happening by coincidence and luck, but they don't see it that way. Consequently, number two, they see that at every moment, I, or every person, is being given what I need to grow. So each of us, at every moment, is being given exactly what we need to grow. Grow where? To grow into being in the kingdom, in the Garden of Eden, in the promised earth. Number three, they all imply that I create my present situation. This isn't happening by luck. I have, in some way, with my soul, created my present situation. And therefore, the solution to my present situation is only known by Spirit, who understands how I've led myself into this situation and who knows how I can get out of it and get more into the promised earth. Number four, I just need to third eye see and listen, and Spirit will guide me to understand my present situation and why it is the perfect next step into the promised earth. Those are the 4 keys, I think, to learning how to listen and to trust your listening to Spirit. That there's nothing happening by chance. I've created this. There is a way out. Spirit knows the way out. I need to learn to listen to Spirit in order to find my way out. I can listen to other people. I can go to therapists, I can go to clergy, I can read books, but ultimately I have to come back to Spirit and say, is what I'm hearing appropriate? Is that from you? What are you teaching me? How can I use this? Spirit will give us the answers. Another core principle on the way of the soul that is important when we listen is this. Truth and love are not 2D, two-dimensional, they're three-dimensional. Okay, we often think that truth is two-dimensional, that if 2 people sat down and talked long enough, they would come to the same conclusion. Jesus would not agree. Here's what Jesus said. This heaven, it will pass away, and the one above it, it will pass away. A heaven is a level of knowing. It's a level of truth and love. If we look over on the right at the image, we see various levels of false selves. At the bottom is a person who is full of what he considers truth and love, but he's seeing it through the filter of his false selves. For example, Hitler looked at what he considered to be the truth of the German people and the truth of others, like Jews, and he loved them at his level of truth and love. Someone at a higher level would not see the same people the same way. So truth and love is three-dimensional. So to read what Jesus is saying, this heaven, it will pass away, and the one above it, it will pass away, if we are growing on the way of the soul. If we don't grow, we remain at a level of truth and love. And those who are dead, they live not, and those who live, they will die not. And those who live at a high level will not die. To die is to psychologically die and spiritually die. And that happens when we're in darkness, and that happens when we are full of false selves. So those at the high level will never die in the sense of being psychologically dead, and those at the lower level will never live unless they grow. So let me read the poem again, because I think what he's expressing is that truth and love are 3D. This heaven, it will pass away. This level of knowing and love, it will pass away on the way of the soul. And the one above it, it will pass away. And those who are dead, they live not, and those who live, they will die not. Powerful poem, but it's core to understanding Jesus' notion of how to grow. Now let me present the implications of that. Here we see the pyramid on the right, and on the left it says, truth is different for everyone depending on each person's level of wise love of all. If we intuit ever higher truths, we will live more fully in the promised earth. So when two people are talking, they may be on different levels of truth and love, and probably are, in which case they're going to have a limited ability to understand each other. Number 2, single-eye intuition can reveal higher truths. Two-eye reasoning can only reveal low-level truths. So in order to grow on the way of the soul, one must use a single eye and single ear. Number 3, no theologian, philosopher, therapist, or other guru can teach high levels of truth and love. These people can suggest higher levels, but only Spirit can confirm their insights to an individual. So we can learn from everyone, but Spirit has to guide us into understanding what other people are saying that is helpful to us and what is not. We cannot let other people guide us. Spirit is the only one. A person on the way of the soul continually suspends his current level of beliefs to intuit and live higher levels of truth and love. A person on the mind way maintains his current level of beliefs and never evolves. He will distort, create, and ignore facts to maintain his ego, his level of life. Have you ever talked to somebody who is a confirmed liberal or a confirmed conservative? You know how difficult it is to have a reasonable conversation. They will distort facts. They will create facts. They will ignore facts in order to maintain what they consider to be the truth. They're actually maintaining their self, their ego. They have identified with a level of truth and love, and they will be very dishonest in order to maintain that. The opposite is true of people on the way of the soul. They always know that they're distorting information to maintain a level of truth and love. They're always watching for that. They are always open to being challenged, and they challenge themselves because they're always using their third eye and their third ear to hear higher levels of truth and love. That's how we evolve. People who are on the way of the mind do not evolve. They maintain steadfast faith as they're encouraged by theological religions. To the degree that people live on different levels of truth, and to that degree they will never fully agree and will grow in conflict. We see a world right now full of conflict. That is because everyone is maintaining their level of truth and love. They're not evolving. They're not on the way of the soul. Humanity will never evolve to solve its problems unless leaders live a high level of truth and wise love. Low-lifers will never elect high-lifers. The rage right now is majority vote democracy. The majority of people are living on the way of the mind. They do not recognize, nor do they appreciate people who are living high levels of truth and love on the way of the soul. Consequently, they will not elect them. They elect people that they resonate with. That's the fault of democracy. In order to get out, to solve our problems, we've got to develop systems that put people who are on the way of the soul, living high levels of truth and love, in charge. They are not prejudiced against other people. They see they see the problems of the rich, the problems of the poor, the problems of everyone, because they're unbiased. They're not defending and promoting false selves. And so we're in a situation in the world right now where we have increased conflict, and we have increased conflict because the leaders are conflicted within, and they're biased between themselves and other people. That's the end of lesson 14. I hope you found it helpful. If you liked it, would you click on like below? If you want to leave a comment and a question, I'll be sure to answer it. Feel free to go to the website, www.7771.org, to read more of the books and to sign up and get more information. Thank you and have a good day.